Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish Greyhound Derby podcast. We are, as always, joined by the Lily White Assassin Dylan Brennan and the master himself, PL Paul Lawrence, who I must say was in fantastic form over the weekend doing the Greyhound Watch Along. While I'm up to my neck in it in Shelburne Park, I don't get a chance to watch along, shall we say, but I had a right giggle over the next couple of days watching it back. And I think that's the beauty of the watch along, gentlemen. Dylan, you were on it on Saturday night. Is like it's not just about the dogs itself. There's such great chat and great crack in between the various races that it adds something more that you can sort of look back on it rather than it doesn't have to be watched live. And I certainly had a great time. I went down to pick my daughter down in Wicklow yesterday, and I was an hour and a half in the car, and yep, I listened along to the watch along for that hour and a half, and I had a great old chuckle all the way. I got a couple of mentions, let it be said, and no, I won't be crowing this morning, although my snippets did go very well indeed. Gentlemen, you're very welcome. Dylan, how's things?
Yeah, good Ian. Yeah, good weekend, and enjoyed being on with Paul and Tom on Saturday. And like you say, it's a good bit of crack as well along the way. So, no, all good.
PL, a good weekend on the watch along. Firstly, you mentioned Tom there. He's one of the funniest non-funny people I've ever met or I've ever seen. I don't think he realizes how funny he can be at times.
I think you're right. I think he comes out with some corkers, and he was talking about the story. I posted it actually. That Dylan's obviously he's on crutches at the moment, and he wanted to go to Newbridge for a trial, and he had to take the kids with him. It was just so funny. I put it up there, and Tom couldn't believe how he could get away with doing what he's doing with three young kids as well. So it was yeah, you're right. It's not just about dogs, but it's about life as well. It's good crack. Really enjoy it.
Yeah, really. I must say now I'll be watching them all back over the space of the Derby. So keep up the good work, gentlemen. Before we get into it, once again, remind you of the sign-up offer. Insights 30, bet £30, and if it is a loser, you get it back as a free bet. That's Insights 30. That's the bonus code, £30 welcome offer. If you're first bet loses of £30, we'll give you it back as a free bet. Hopefully, at this stage, most of you are signed up, but there's still a few out there. Spread the word. It's a good offer. And of course, that doesn't have to be used in greyhound racing, used on football, horses. Well, we're coming to that time. It could be used in American football, whatever you like. And of course, you can also recap the various tips for the football, the American football, and the horse racing. Not the American football just yet, but a little bit later in the month, perhaps. On the various Insights platforms, all the podcasts are up there as we speak. Well, gentlemen, the opening round of the Boyle Sports Irish Greyhound Derby, I think it was safe to say we were all assuming there'd be some fantastic performance, and we were all expecting some shocks, and we were also expecting one or two disappointing runs, one or two great runs, and we got all of the above, as you'd very much expect, with 26 heats. We have a couple of non-runners following the opening round. Parplake and Coulivanny Calvin are unfortunately absent, but it remains a competition of the utmost quality. PL, it's as strong a competition as I can ever remember, and just a look at the betting lists, like, the ticker will be going across the bottom in a few minutes time, but it was a cracking opening round where they were nice and spaced out. Things get a little bit tighter in the second round, but let's look back at the opening round. What were the ones that really caught your eye?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we said last week. I actually, as we were going through the runners last week, I read them all out, and it just blew my head off. In that it is such a great competition. I think Good Cody was a greyhound that you were big on, and I was a little bit not surprised that you were so strong. But I think now you kind of realise that he's thrown his hat in the ring, and one of the things that I think we all agreed on, that Patrick Guildford had such a good team of dogs, and they've all kind of produced top runs as well. So even if they didn't win, they've still produced real big runs. So
yeah, he had four winners, and it was one of his dogs beaten that I'm nearly sweetest on, Vincenzo. So yeah, he had a very good opening round.
Yeah, I know Dylan was very sweet on Vincenzo, and again, Coulivanny Hoffer, I was really impressed with him. I think he showed real good all round speed again, and some of these dogs that actually, when we're going to be looking at them, that there are some really hot heats, Ian, where a lot of them are together, and there's some good sort of supporting cast dogs as well that you can't write off, and I guess we'll discuss that. But I would say I was impressed with Hoffer. There's a lot of dogs that you could say. I mean, Banning the Ball Red, what he did walking out the boxes and then showing good back straight pace, and again racing the bends, something that you like to look at for future assessment when you're looking at when things might get sticky around the first 2 turns. I do like some of these wide runners, such as Born Warrior, such as Cool Lavani Hoffer, that are going to race the bends, and that's what I've been looking at, sort of building up the old punting list of, and it's getting bigger and bigger now. By the way,
he was trying his best not to use portfolio there, Dylan. Did
yeah,
you notice that?
I was.
Dylan, what impressed you?
Yeah, I suppose the obvious one is Ballinabula Ed. Like, just the manner in which he done it, and the fact that it was sing along Sally that he gave all those lengths at the start and had her picked up by the third bend was just, look, we all knew, and everybody that's seen him over in England and even down in Limerick and what he done in Tralee, we know his pace is just, it's frightening. But I think to do that and be probably a bit undercooked as well is quite scary. Like, I think he gave off the sectionals, I think he was giving Sing Along Sally 3 lengths at boxes, which is outrageous to think that she was second in the Derby last year and he had her picked up by the third bend.
On the inside, which is even more remarkable.
Yeah. So he was obviously the standout. And then obviously your good Cody's who done the quicker times. But it's funny. There was even so many in defeat that caught the eye. Like, I thought the likes of Khalil Phelps, who I think there's a couple of dogs in the competition that just, there's a couple of them that don't know how to trap, and then there's a couple that are just very inconsistent at boxes, but they have serious pace. He's one of them. Born Warrior just got touched off. I thought what he did to the third bend off his start was exceptional as well. So, look, you could go through all the ones that impress you. It'd take you all morning, but the standard is unbelievable. And like I said, there's some outwatering clashes in the second round, and it doesn't get any easier. It gets, I think, if anything, I found the second round harder to try and pick the heat winners from than I did the first round. So that's the joys of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, listen, there were some very, very impressive winners. One that I was quite impressed was Bocco's Budsit. The fact that he was challenged early by Velasco, who has stunning early speed, is a really exciting youngster. I thought he ran very, very well. We've mentioned many of the more obvious ones, the good Cody's, Kulavani Hoffas, Explosive Boy in beating Born Warrior. Plenty more that I'm not even thinking about at present. Mustang Jet made a good start to the Derby. Even the couple of ladies, Droopy's Nice one was so impressive. Crafty Kokoro, so impressive. There really were some brilliant performances. And, some of these dogs we're mentioning now, you'll see when the ticker goes ahead, that not in the top 15 in the betting. That just goes to highlight the quality that's there. Of the dogs that were beaten, I think Vincenzo and Born Warrior, I think you're probably right there, Dylan. Born Warrior, mighty impressive. The pace he showed to the third bend after that start was pretty emphatic. And I thought Vincenzo ran exceptionally well also. Yeah, I think if he hadn't stumbled at that opening corner, I think we would have seen a big run from him. As it was, Sentimental Lad was a tremendous winner also. So we could name them all day and all night. Has it changed your view on the Derby, gentlemen? Is there anything that you would like to add to your portfolio? I used the term. That's the last time I'll use it, right? We're going forward now. There you see the prices. Ballinabula Ed is currently 11.5. Good Cody 12.5, Kulavani off at 15, Vincenzo 16.5, Explosive Boy 17, Romeo Magico 18, Kildare 18.5, 2 in a row, and Born Warrior both just over the 20 for Born Warrior, or 2 in a row, 22 for Born Warrior, 23 for Sentimental Lad, and 25 for Ballymacfin. It's a very, very, very fast bunch of greyhounds. Ballymacfin at 25, I'm sure that'll be bigger. And again, these are correct at time of broadcast, but coming nearer the off of the second round, I'd imagine a few of those will be a bit bigger in their prices. So don't be too put off if you've seen bigger elsewhere, because they will be available on the exchange at bigger prices near the off, and it will give you the opportunity to bet with the exchange, of course, to lay off in future rounds. And who knows, myself and PL are perfect examples. We were on Explosive, or Ballinabula Edge, should I say, at 33-1 for the English Derby, and he went 7-4. I'm not sure if PL laid off any. I didn't. I was being greedy. I was waiting for the even money to lay him off. Anyway, that's for another night and another day. But of all the, firstly, I'll tell you what you do. Just remind us of the dogs you mentioned last week, PL. And then is there anything else that you'd like to add to your, your list? Having
list of
seen
runners.
The opening rounds, yes.
Well, I picked Ballinabula Red. Happy with that. Kulavani Hoffer, happy with that. One time only. There's a dog I wanted us to discuss. Born Warrior, Barefoot Supremo, we were all sweet on. One of the dogs that you said, obviously Velasco, that Dylan was that was his main pick, was beaten. I thought Ballymac Finn was another dog that was beaten that might have gone under the radar a little bit to a certain extent, because when you look at Good Cody doing the flashy clock-ins and the sectional, he's I think I calculated did about 17.10 to the third term, which would be high up on the list, and he's got track one as well in the next round. So he was a dog that really caught my eye, and I was hoping he was going to be bigger. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think he'll get bigger than 25. So don't. I think a lot of people, maybe wouldn't want to chance him because of the man that trains him and because he's such a young dog and can improve.
Yeah. Also, he's bred in the purple. He's closely related to Pistana. Ballymac Petsy is out of Coolavany Pet. I think she might well be a litter sister or from the previous litter to Pistana, but a son of Droopy Sydney, just a perfectly sized dog at 74 pounds of Liam Dowling, well housed in the fence. In the next round, if he traps on terms, he looks a likely leader. And he was the second fastest qualifier from the opening round, winning in 29.32. What surprised me was people sort of suggested over the last couple of days, he was available at huge prices. I didn't see them, and if I did, I don't think they were in places where you could have got on. I made him no bigger than a sort of 40-1 chance at the outset. He'd shown enough at Shelburne Park. In fact, I know myself and Teddy Hegarty had responded or spoken about him a couple of occasions, and he had tried to recommend him to a man to buy because he thought he was a potential sort of Derby type dog. He is only November 20. Dylan, he was so impressive, Ballymac Finn in defeat.
Yeah, he's Liam has a real good set of young dogs coming through, and he's probably top of the list. He's got it all really. He's good up, flies down the back, and he's staying really well now as well. I think with a few runs back, probably he really caught the eye, was it, when he just failed to pick up Bocco's Budsa. So look, he's the thing with him as well. He's one of them because of his age. You'd expect him to maybe even keep coming forward. He's got a good make-up the next night. So I think he's definitely one. Obviously, after the other night, plenty will be keeping their eye on because he was very impressive in defeat.
Yeah. Dylan, give us a reminder of your selections.
Hoff and Vincenzo, Mustang Jet, and then at bigger prices, Barefoot Supremo and Callaway Pro-Am. So they're all true, which is the main thing. I kind of went into the first round thinking I'd probably be adding to it or looking to add to it on Monday morning, but as it is, I'm pretty pleased they're all there. And I was humming and hawing over adding one or two, but at the end of the day, decided against it. Like I said, like you said as well, Vincenzo in defeat, I was more than happy. I said it last week. I just think he's the type of dog that's going to improve each week. I thought Mustang Jet's run was very good. I wasn't expecting 17.09 to pop up at the third bend after getting a bit of a bump at the first. Coolavany Hoffa was good. Callaway Pro-Am was probably, look, he's I think he was 66-1 or something. But he's a young dog. He's going to have to improve, but he may well do so. I was a bit disappointed with Barefoot Supremo. Now, I know you say maybe the better company, the better he'll run, but
the same sort of dash wasn't there.
Yeah,
but he is one of those dogs that can, he could just turn it on the following week. Like he could improve for 8 lengths for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know his trialing was good, but I always say I don't think there's anything like a race to bring a dog on, especially for a dog that hasn't ran in a while. And I think it's the English Derby since he ran, so it should sharpen him up. I was a bit disappointed. Like I said, there wasn't that spark down the back, and in the heat that he was in as well. But look, he's still in the hat. He's got an extremely tough heat, but like you say, he might just be the type of dog that suits that type of race. And like I said, he's still there, which is the main thing.
Before we get your additions, I'll give you my mentions. Obviously, I mentioned Kildare. He was my price-wise selection because the prices were probably gone with Cody, although I'd give Cody a good mention. Barefoot Supremo, Coolavany Hoffa, of course, another one of my anti-post bets, and Crafty Kokoro, who took off in the opening round. She ran so strongly down the back straight. Bocco's Crystal she was actually a crazy price at the off. She went off 8-13. I thought she was sort of a 4-5, 10-11 shot. Crafty Kokoro was always guaranteed to get a better run at her, I thought, this week than the previous time, and she reversed that three length defeat in some margin. She wins by 7, so just a 10 length turnaround for Crafty Kokoro. She's one that if you did back her at big prices, you'd be hoping she'd progress another round or two. She's going to be so hard to keep out of the frame, and there are 1 or 2 heats that you really do not want a runner in, and it just so happens that a few of the dogs we've mentioned are in said heats. The first of the heats you probably don't want to be in is probably like the heat 1, and then heat 9 is the one that's really jumps out at me. Mary's Wedding, Hello Hammond, 2 in a row, Barefoot Supremo, Kildare, and Born Warrior. It just so happens we have Barefoot Supremo, Born Warrior, and Kildare in there amongst our mentions. So, it'd be lucky to get all 3 of them through, but we'll talk about that heat a little bit later on, no doubt. PL, is there a dog you want to add to your list of greyhounds, or a dog that if you hadn't backed at this point, you would be very interested in backing?
I've got 2, and I backed them as well. Mrs. Peel put her trainers on last night and hoofed up the shop. A dog that me and Dylan both agreed on. Actually, I'll come to that. One of the dogs, the first one I backed is Well Met. I just thought I backed him at treble figures, and I just thought it was too big because of the fact that I thought that really I've got a chance, especially in the makeup of the second round, drawn against Pat's bitch. Whose name escapes me all of a sudden.
Bobsleigh Dream.
Correct. So I backed Well Met. I just thought that just thought it was running well, and the other dog that maybe Dylan would elaborate on was Galloping Sydney. Again, he treble figures.
Yeah, I think we were both taken by him. The fact he kind of came down on his nose a bit, or stumbled a bit coming out. I thought to still get to the bend in front, I thought he showed woeful pace. I'd upgrade that performance a bit. Like I said, we said at the time after looking at the replay, we were very impressed by him. He just struck me a little bit as, if you remember last year, Ian Park Blake going into the Ledger, and he had a real nice card around Clonmel. He had a really good record. I think he'd won something like 4 from 7. But you'd look at what he won, and you kind of think that, well, maybe it's not Ledger standard. And then he popped out, done what he done in the first round, and we were all saying, well, we want to see it again in the second round, and he done it. And then all of a sudden after that, like, we were kind of, even coming into this, we were talking about him as a Derby contender. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do what Park Blake done or that, but he just struck me as that type of dog. A lot of his form is down in Cork. He's a lovely card, loads of early, and I just wouldn't be surprised if he came forward again, because I thought for a dog who looks to be more a natural trapper, obviously last week was just one of those things that boxes a bit of a stumble. I think to pick himself up and make the bend in front was impressive, and I'd upgrade that. He's got a tricky draw the next night, which would be a worry, and that's the only thing. He was one of the ones I was kind of wanting to go in on, but I may still, but I'd like for him to be in a heat. You'd say, well, I think he'll definitely qualify from it, but he's going to have to do everything right. But I do like him as well.
Yeah, there's no definite qualifying from Galloping Sydney. You mentioned Park Blake. Obviously, he's owned by the same people. Una Creed, Una and Pat Creed own Galloping Sydney. I thought he was from the same family, but no, he's Droopy Sydney Mag's image. So he was actually bred by Owen McKenna. He was highlighted to me, I'm going to say 2 or 3 months back. I'm not sure whether it was Barry Drake or Tommy Lyons, but it was someone down that direction. And one of them was very impressed with him. I think they might have both mentioned him, perhaps on one of the podcasts we did, that he's a nice upcoming dog with lots of early speed. He showed lots of it the other night. He had no right to get to the corner. He broke my heart because I was on Tommy Too Many at big prices. I'll feel free to admit I thought he was one of the value bets of the opening round. And, I think if Galloping Sydney breaks actually on terms, I think Tommy Too Many might have just won. But it was the fact that he raced up the inside and did Mary's Wedding and Tommy Too Many and forced them backwards. It was a real racy type display from Galloping Sydney. And I was impressed with how well he stayed. I didn't think he'd stay as well as he did. Now, he is a dog I was going to mention a bit later on, because I'm not sure he's going to go up straight from 4. And, as a good Cody backer, I'm concerned. I really am concerned by the draw with Galloping Sydney in 4, Good Cody in 3. Good Cody, far from a natural starter. He broke last week. That's not always his way. If Galloping Sydney takes a flyer and he can't fly, I've seen him win from 6 in Cork, and I'm almost certain that night he cut inwards. Now, I know 4 in Shelbourne's a bit different to 6 from Cork, but if he does edge inwards, Just Room could be a bit of a premium. There is very speed on the inside with Skywalker Barry and Stephen's Rock, but I understand where you're coming from with Galloping Sydney. Probably too big for what he achieved in the opening round. And well met PL, well housed on the fence. He is a dog with lots of early speed. Didn't really show it in the opening round. Trapping again is probably a little bit of an issue, but owned by Lawrence Jones, who had a Derby finalist back in 2019. Sadly, didn't get to take a chance in the final. Our surprise was withdrawn injured, which was heartbreaking, having dead heated in his Derby semi-final with Mucky Bray. Didn't get a chance to take his part in final. So I don't think anyone would complain if Well Met went a few rounds, and he is well housed on the fence in the next round. And if he does trap on terms, I agree with you, PL. He was the reason I'd be willing to take on Bobsleigh Dream at short prices. You know, at odds on, I think he's a big, big life. Dylan, are you adding Galloping Sydney or just something else in your mind?
I'm still not sure. It's one of those. I'd say it'll probably be in my head for probably till tomorrow, till I leave for Newbridge tomorrow evening, and I'll make my mind up then. The other one I mentioned him earlier. I've always liked him. Again, he's the price he is because he can't trap, but Khalil Phelps on some run and coming home.
Yeah.
I know I kind of tend to, the eye catchers in behind, it's very hard to clock them off when you're looking at it on the replay. You're probably only getting a rough estimation in terms of how far they were behind the third bend and that. But I tried to clock it as close as I could, and I've done it a couple of times, and I clocked them at 12:10 coming home. Now, like I said, that's not going to be accurate, but I wouldn't say there's that. You know, it mightn't be too far off.
Well, of the dogs that were leading at the third bend and won,
Crafty
Kokoro was fastest with 12:16.
12:16.
12:18's Tully Graven, and I believe Bobsleigh Dream did 12:18 as well. So, you know, if he's doing a 12:10, that's sensational stuff.
Yeah. Now, look,
as you say, it could be a half length out, but even if he's doing 12:16, it's a sensational run.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to gauge. It's just to get a rough estimation because, but even looking at him, the way he took the last two bends, even he took them. Like you talk about the bend runners in it and how they run their opening bends at the pace they're going into it at your Born Warriors and that. This was like that, only he was doing it coming around the last two bends. Like I said, he's a bit like.
Oh, that's bad timing. He was flying there.
He's a crazy price.
Going back.
You're nearly backing him to learn how to trap now more than anything, because if you've got trapping boots on, he's
Khalil Phelps. I'm more than aware of. They did try him over further. Didn't happen for him.
He actually led in the 750, didn't he?
Yeah, it didn't stay. They tried him over the 575, but again, his trapping has been letting them down. I don't know whether the penny will drop as regards to trapping, but I've always been impressed by his pace. You know, he has stunning pace. Yeah. He's one of those dogs where I'd nearly campaign him over 525 later on because he won't be too far off the pace and be picking up dogs that aren't staying. But he's exceptionally fast. I know I said that about 40 or 50 dogs in this competition, but that just sums up the level of competition we're at. Just to mention on this trainer, Liam Dowling, I thought his dogs ran exceptionally well in the opening round. I think every single one of them showed pace. Hoodoo Brown was 20 behind at one point, and he's beaten 10. You know, Bobsleigh Dreams is 29:33. He's beaten 10, so he's doing 30:03. I'm not sure what the official time was, but it came home like an absolute proverbial express train. He absolutely caught the eye. He has a reasonable enough draw the next night. He's taking on his Kent companion Ballymacfin, so he's worth keeping in mind. Maybe at a very, very big price, he's worth a little nibble. But yeah,
he's another one though. He's another one though. You just wonder, is he ever going to get it right at boxes? Like, I don't think, a bit like Khalil Phelps, I don't think I've ever seen any of them pop out. Maybe
he has led on the corner. Like, he has 29:27 on his card at Shelbourne, which prior to the opening round was the fastest time of the year. So, you know, he has gone up reasonably well. But yeah, I see where you're coming from. And again, he's one of those you're going to need the gaps to open at the right time. Anything else you want to mention?
No, they were the two that I'll probably just have a think about over today and tomorrow. I'd say if I was adding one, it'd probably be Galloping Sydney, because I just don't think Khalil Phelps is going to start trapping. So I'll make my mind up on that closer to time.
Yeah, I'm going to add one, and he's not big massive prices like you two boys. I've backed Vincenzo. I was impressed with his opening round effort, and I think he potentially will be the shortest priced favourite in the second round. I can't see how, if he traps on terms, he doesn't go round on the pace, if not in front, and produce a big run. I think his price will be cut as a result. And I was so impressed with him behind Sentimental Lad. This is the 575-yard record holder. The, he came out of the bump in much better shape than Vincenzo did the other night. He sort of went down on his haunches a little bit, got going again to be right on the heels of Sentimental Lad at the third bend, and then swung off the final turn. But then again, up to the line, is staying on stoutly, is challenging Sentimental Lad into the escape. And then the two of them were actually passed by Droopy's next one, who I believe, if you are interested, could be one to represent a value in the top bitch market. Droopy's next one. You could do worse than back her each way, maybe one of the fixed odd firms or a small nibble on the exchange, because I think she'll trade shorter if she qualifies on Saturday night. But no, Vincenzo, I was truly impressed with him. I think he's a guaranteed winner in the second round. And just for those reasons, I've also stated that maybe Good Cody's facing a tricky draw. I think one of Kildare or Barefoot Supremo will be, or not Barefoot Supremo, Kildare or Born Warrior will be in trouble on Saturday night given their draw. So, maybe one or two of the bigger guns will go out. We saw only Swords Rex really going out in the opening round. And I thought One Time Only was an interesting one. PL already hasn't mentioned. I thought he did nothing wrong in defeat the other night after stumbling slightly, getting a bad doing. He showed lots of pace to get involved. And for a dog that wants to be on the bunny, I thought he ran a big race in defeat. I wouldn't be too worried about where he finished or how far he's beaten. I thought it was a big run by him. But no, Vincenzo is the one I'm happy enough to add to the list. So, gentlemen, we're going to take a look now at the second round heats. Some very interesting dogs to look on, and some very interesting heats. It all kicks off in the opening heat where hot favourite will be Coulivanny Hoffa, but he is facing some notable rivals. Bocco's Leah's in 1 week, Can Dream in 2. Even Ballymac Run, who will be the outsider of the party, ran a big race in defeat behind Flaming Moneybags, a dog who ran very well in victory. Ballymac Run got forced to check off wide on the opening bend. She stormed down at the third bend, looked a threat at that point, but Flaming Moneybags kicked on again to win by 2.5. But I thought Ballymac Run ran well. Should be a big price next night because Velasco and Four is cutting in there. 5 Beach Avenue will be finishing fast, and Coulivanny Hoffa should be clear on the outside, perhaps if he clears Velasco early. It's a cracking little contest. Coulivanny Hoffa, hot favourite. I thought of the odds-on favourites. Coulivanny Hoffa would be, I thought he'd be fair enough value at sort of 4 to 6 maybe. I saw one or two rumblings earlier on, people on social media suggesting they might just take him on. I think if he got anywhere close to sort of 4 to 5, I think he'd represent big value. Anything to say on that, PL or Dylan?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. 4 to 5, that I would back him because I think he's got a good makeup. Beach Avenue isn't going to really worry him in the early pace department. Velasco has probably got some decent amount of early, but will be going in. So I think he'll get a clear run, and that's what you're looking for in the opening rounds, is to get your clear run and air your wares. And I certainly think, if he was 4 to 5, then he would be a bet.
Anything you want to point out in the opening round, anything or the second round, should I say, PL? Is there any bets that you would suggest?
Well, the race that was the very next race that I wanted to ask you lads about was Explosive Boy and One Time Only, because as you know, I backed One Time Only, and I was really impressed with him before he won the Champion Stakes. And that kind of he got knocked about at the start a little bit, didn't he? And as you say, he doesn't really stay double strong, whereas. Can he definitely lead Explosive Boy? That's what I would like to ask, really.
Well, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I actually fancy him. I come down on him for the heat. I just think Explosive Boy is. I think we said it before. He just maybe wants that longer run to the corner now. I don't think he's as sharp as he was last year. I think One Time Only, he's usually good away. Like off his break last week, I think he clears Explosive Boy. I just come down on him. I think he makes all in the heat. That's my opinion on it. It won't be. It's going to all depend on how to come away. But I was actually impressed with One Time Only last week. I think he did a lot of running, like Ian said, after the trouble. I think he might just clear Explosive Boy and nip around in front, and hopefully goes on to win.
Yeah, no, I tipped up Explosive Boy to win the heat, but at the prices, I think there's only one bet in the race, and I think that is One Time Only. 3 and 4, I think, are really going to struggle to get involved because they can't lead the top two in reality. Magical Cuba ran a big race in the opening round, but he does tend to stay that little bit wide at times, and Well, he's won 5 from 14 now, but I would have put him down to this point has been relatively inconsistent. Ballymore Border, just, my
Even more
thoughts have been like,
inconsistent.
you don't know what you're going to get with him. But I thought one time only probably represented the value there. Anything else, PL?
Good question. I have made a few notes actually. I thought obviously Mustang Jet was probably going to be a bet if he was 4 to 5 in the fifth heat. He's got a decent makeup as well on the outside, and again he cuts the bend, so he needs to get a good start because he's got nice early, and I think he can clear them. And I didn't know whether actually Good Cody would be a bet. I know you said you're worried about it, and again it's another kind of talking point in the eighth heat. Because Galloping Sydney, I know, can come out better. Me and Dylan sort of we analysed the race literally afterwards, and I've gone back and looked at it again. I don't think he'll dive straight for the rails. I think he will edge in a little bit. I don't think he wants track 1 by any means. And as you say, he ran from 6. He just edged in, but he did cut across. And these dogs, obviously, when they see a bit of daylight at the first bend, they will cut in. So it wouldn't be impossible for me just to say if Good Cody, I know he had the 341 over the line, but Galloping Sydney would have probably done a 340 something. He must have lost 2 lengths by stumbling, and then he had to pick up. So if he comes flashing out of a middle box and then shows his early and cuts the bend, he could chop the nose off of Good Cody. But it's whether he can get that sort of length in front of him to the turn, and that was my little bit of a concern. But probably if he's about an 8 or a double digits, I will probably have to bet him. But I just thought some of the early prices, I probably made Good Cody about a 4 to 9 chance because if he traps, I'm not too sure whether Galloping Sydney can lead him. But if Good Cody doesn't, he just misses it a beat himself, and you could get Galloping Sydney to go wallop. Those scenarios can happen. Prices might dictate on the night that I'll be back in Galloping Sydney.
That's fair enough. For my own sake, obviously, I won't be back in Good Cody at odds on. I just hope that he qualifies. I think he's one of the odds on chances probably to just avoid. For the reason that you gave, there's lots of early speed on either side. I know Skywalker Barry probably isn't the force he once was, but he's better than his recent form. Stefan's Rock, who I backed at a big price in the opening round, given his early speed. His problem is the trapping as well. He's quite similar to a lot of the dogs in the competition where he's loads of early speed, but trapping is a bit inconsistent. Just the fact that they're there, just makes it a bit tricky. Having seen Bullet from a Gun, how he went up in the opening round, I could see people getting involved. I'd imagine he'll be a 14, 16 on the machine, on the exchange, getting close to the off. So maybe he's one but it's a tough heat from me. Dylan, anything you'd like to point out in the second round? You're muted there. Oh, go ahead.
I really struggled with the second round. There were some heats, obviously something jumped out at me, but there was a lot of heats that gave me a right old headache, and probably still are. Just interested on your opinion on Heat 7. Droopy's Edison's run last week, Ian, I thought it was very good. You'd expect him to step forward a lot. I just, in terms of looking for a bet in this, and it's probably one I leave alone, but I absolutely couldn't make it out for Edner. I think he's well housed and won. Bocco's Crystal obviously missed the up last week, but you go back to what she done before that. And then you've got Flaming Moneybags in there too, who's probably going to edge in a bit. Did you have any sort of opinion on that?
When I send through my tips for Shelbourne Park for Friday and Saturday nights, or for every night, I have to send a nap and a next best. And I don't, as a rule, I try and avoid odds on chances. So I believe I've napped Bocco's Budset, and I've next best at Droopy's Edison, because I don't think either will be odds on. I think Bocco's Budset in Heat 5, is it Heat 5? No, Heat 3. I think he'll get first run on his rivals. I was very impressed with him last week. To be challenged like he was by Velasco, to shake him off and to win by 3.5 lengths comfortably in 29.40, probably not fully tuned. I thought this was the run of a dog that could really, really play a part in the Derby. And going back to the ones we've mentioned earlier on, only I've gone in with a short enough one with Vincenzo. I'd nearly have added Bocco's Budset to that list. That's how impressed I was. I think he'll lead up Hanover Phantom and Callaway Pro-Am for as well as Callaway Pro-Am ran last week. Sing Along Sally, if she pings, she'll need to ping. She'll edge inwards, you'd imagine, when she has room. Bacchus Budget should have plenty of room in Trap 5. Sentimental Lad went up fast last week, but I can't see him leading Bacchus Budget. And I know he picked up Bacchus Budget in their previous encounters, the semi-finals of Champions Stakes. Ignore the final, didn't happen for Bacchus Budget or Sentimental Lad for that matter. But in the semi-final, Sentimental Lad picked him up. I think the track was a bit slow that night. I think just top of the ground, and from what I saw of Bacchus Budget last week, I think he'll take the world of beating on Friday night. He's one of the bets I was going to mention. And then getting back to the heat you asked me about, Droopy's Edison, I was very encouraged by his run last week, Dylan. He missed the kick. He was sort of held up in the opening yards, got a bit of bother. Ballinaboo led shot around him, and he was third down the back straight. But he had Oak Front Cadet right on his heels at the second bend. And at the third bend, Oak Front Cadet is challenging him. Now, Oak Front Cadet is a real 600-yard greyhound, all about power. And Droopy's Edison held him to the line. He's beaten only 4 lengths by Ballinaboo Ed, having lost plenty of ground as well in running. I know Robert Gleeson he'd said to me the morning he trialled at Shelburne Park, he said that he would improve considerably for a run or two. And I think that's going to be the case. I think he'll improve considerably for it. And I think if he traps, I think he has the speed to lead up on the inside, and I think he'd be very, very hard to beat. And at the prices available, I thought he was one of the bets of the round. So
yeah,
to answer a short question very, very, very longly, I'll go with Droopy's Edison as well.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I was impressed with him. I just thought I think there's another big run in Bacchus Crystal, and like that, I think I actually spoke to Rob on Saturday morning. And he did say he's probably short a few runs, so he should take a big step forward. Just Heat 10, I think the top in Heat 10 will be a big price. Owen Spice, probably not one you'd expect to hear about this morning, but
no, but it is. I've written down very soft. It's one of the softest heats of the round.
So yeah, no, it's a soft heat, and I think
I backed him at double digits, Dylan. So yeah, that gives me a bit of encouragement. Thank you.
He stayed on. Dylan's hung there for a second. He stayed on really well in defeat last week to pick up second spot from what was second down the back straight. What was in one? Oh, CryptoPunk. He picked up CryptoPunk on the line. Isn't that right? To beat him for second spot. Like, that's a good run in itself.
Yeah, no, I just thought the makeup of the race. I think All About Ted is very, very short on the prices that have been put up so far. Like
he scratched around last week. He doesn't look the same dog as last week.
He may as well have got a solo. I'd say he didn't know himself. I'd say walking to boxes, he thought he was getting ready for a race, and when he came out, he probably thought he had a solo, because 4 and 5 couldn't have come out any slower. There was trouble on the inside, and he just got clear out wide. Don't get me wrong, he's been a super dog, and who knows, maybe that 29.70 might be good enough to win that race. But I just thought on the makeup of the race, I thought the top would probably might even be double figures. Could see 2 moving out, 3's a bit inconsistent, the boxes. I'm not sure about the draw for 4. I actually gave 5 a bit of a squeak in the 2, but I just thought one that could be a bit of a wild price. I thought it was really well housed, and I think if he comes away and turns anyway handy, he'll be. I think you can see him going close.
Yeah, that was my one big value bet for the Saturday night, actually, Owen Spice. So yeah, because Ballymac Bronze will be moving off as well, and I thought Owen Spice ran really well last week. So.
Funny you mentioned that. Trap 3 Beepers Chris was 28-1 last week, and I was happy. I was hoping for a similar enough price this week. I thought he was worth a small little nibble.
He ran well last week.
Loads of pace down the back straight.
I must admit, Ian, he was the other dog I looked at with one of the firms, because he was sort of a standout bigger price, and the price just negates the draw in that, obviously that Ballymac Bronze is probably going to break and move middle, but sometimes prices dictate that you can't leave them unbacked, to put it that way.
Yeah. I've mentioned my 2 for Friday night. Anything else, Dylan?
No, that was it. Like I said, probably at the minute, in terms of having a bet in the second round, I think probably one time only an Owen Spice. It could be added to closer to time, but they were kind of the 2 with the prices at this moment in time that interested me.
Yeah. PL has mentioned one of mine, Well Met. I thought he had very well housed in the fence in Heat 14, and I thought he could put it up to Bobsleigh Dream. It's not always that she leads around the corner like she did the other night. There was good money for Anna Bailey, who's obviously worthy of respect also at Lacazette. A great story seeing him win, but I thought Well Met was well housed on the fence, and I thought he was better for his. I thought he'd be 2 or 3 lengths better for his 29.77. He's doing 29.50. He does things right, the bunny. I just thought he could get involved. Other than that, I'd just like to mention that Heat 9 again. I do believe one of the hot pots is going out. And, when you have Kildare, Born Warrior on the outside, and then 2 in a row in trap 3, all going up fast, whichever of them is third into the back straight is in a world of pain, because Hello Hammond and Barefoot Supremo and Mary's Wedding, who could also be right up there in the mix in the early stages, one of them is going out. If I was on Born Warrior anti-post, I'd fear a little bit. I would fear a little bit, because he's probably not as natural a trapper as 2 in a row, and Kildare and himself are probably similar enough in terms of trapping ability. And if Kildare's on your inside, well, you're going to have to do some run to get around them. So he could be the 1/3 into the back straight.
I will say though, Ian, that Kildare did go. I got Kildare going into lane 3 1/4. So I think Born Warrior's got a massive chance with the solo, because it's not like he has to lead to win, because he's got good all-round speed. And I think actually Craig Day mentioned as well that was his first run in about 3 weeks. So you could forgive him not coming home double hard. I don't think it's a short run. And I think as well, he swings that last bend very, very wide, doesn't he? So he's going to stay out of trouble. And I know you've got Hello Hammond and Barefoot Supremo in the race that can come home well. But they've still got to get the run early, and there could be a bit of congestion if Marie's Wedding goes up and Kildare comes across. 2 in a row is going to be showing a bit of speed. I just think Born Warrior's got a really good draw to get himself in the contest. I think he's a really nice dog that's got good all-round speed, and he's going to keep getting his draw.
Yeah, I just said it because he's the outside of the 3, and if 2 in a row and Kildare get a clear run up his inside, he's going to have to go around them, and that's no easy.
But that's what he does every week, Ian. So it's not.
Well, I know that, but 2 in a row is a one-time Irish Derby favourite, and Kildare is English Derby runner-up, having his first run since that English Derby, so he's entitled to improve as well. Listen, it's for me, it's whichever of the 3 is third into the back straight, or fourth perhaps, because Mary's Wedding will be up the inside. I just think. In fact, it's absolutely certain that a big name's going to go out of it, because even the outsiders, apart from Hello Hammond and Barefoot Supremo, I think they're both around the 8 or 10 to 1 mark. Like they're the outsiders of the party. And yes, Hello Hammond's an English Derby finalist. He leads to the escape that night. And Barefoot Supremo, well, we know what he's capable of. Even Mary's Wedding, she's very, very fast. Just a very, very hot heat. But no, lads, just the last thing before we leave. Of all the short ones, is there one that you would consider getting stuck into?
I thought
Mustang Jet.
Yeah. I think I've Mustang Jet down here. I think he just goes clear out wide, doesn't he? From what I made it. I thought Droopy's nice one, but I think she's extremely short, isn't she? I think is she around 1 to 2 maybe?
I was going to mention her. I thought she was like Vincenzo. I thought she was a certain winner, but at the prices, that's it's taken into account, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, maybe the shorties that maybe aren't overly short, probably Mustang Jet for me anyway.
Okie dokie. PL? Oh, you were happy with Mustang Jet?
Mustang Jet, and as you say, Vincenzo. I think it's not impossible. I think Vincenzo are nearly leading.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
And then it'll be
I thought anything over 2 on about Vincenzo would have been perfectly fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, pleasure as always. A reminder, if you wish to sign up with Matchbook Betting Exchange, the bonus code is Insights30. Bet £30, get £30 back as a free bet if that first bet loses. Again, Insights30 is the bonus code. Of course, all the prices will be up there for heats, for anti-post, and of course, there's live streaming on the Matchbook Betting Exchange. Bet €2 in a race, and you get to watch that race. And of course, why not join PL and the gang on the watch along over the weekend? It is great entertainment, and it's a great way to entertain yourself through the races, because there's quite a gap between some of them. There was 20 minutes on Saturday night. I thought I was going to lose the will to live at various points. They're allowing for the various betting shops, which that's for
anyway. DJ Fortune kept us entertained throughout. It was okay.
I had a hot mic all weekend, and needless to say, I was trying to keep myself out of trouble. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. Dylan, best of luck the weekend. Hopefully, you pick a few winners.
Cheers, you two, Ian. All the best.
PL, no doubt you will pick a few winners, and you'll be doing it live on the watch along. The very best of luck.
Thanks.
That's it from us on the Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish Derby podcast. Join us next week when hopefully we'll be reflecting on some very, very fine displays and some continued success with our anti-post selections. That's it for us this morning. Good luck and God bless.